I distinctly remember the first time I went to a restaurant as a kid, and instead of those softened pads of butter, they poured olive oil onto a plate and served it with bread. I remember tasting it, and I did not get it, like at all. It wasn't salty like butter, it wasn't creamy like butter, it was a green oil that was kind of bitter. That night, I vowed to myself to remain on Team Butter for the rest of my days. Well, today, I'm here to disappoint little kid Dan. I still love butter, but if I'm honest with myself, I'm on Team Extra Virgin Olive Oil. Although I learned to enjoy extra virgin olive oil in pasta sauces and on salads pretty early on, I didn't really understand it until I tasted it. And that might sound kind of silly, but what I mean is taste it the way olive oil sensory experts taste it. It goes something like this. Pour a tablespoon or two into a small glass. Now the pros use blue tinted glasses so they're not influenced by the color of the oil, but I'm using a clear one. And a small wine glass will totally work here. Cup the glass like this with both hands in order to gently warm the oil and trap the aroma. Now hold and swirl for about a minute. It's actually peaceful. Now we stick our nose in and take a good whiff. Whoa, this one's actually really interesting. I get a little bit of grass, some artichoke, maybe something a little cinnamony. This kind of smelling is called orthonasal olfaction. It's coming from outside into my nose. Now for the taste. Now if you do this part correctly, you should look pretty silly. I'm gonna take a decent swig of this oil, suck air through it to aerate, and then close my mouth and breathe out through my nose. This gives me retronasal olfaction, where aroma compounds travel through a back channel in the back of my throat, through my nose and out. That step will give us tons of flavor. Then we finally swallow and pay attention to the spicy burn and any bitterness. That spicy burn is a form of chemothesis, where a chemical compound causes a physical sensation. We talked about chemothesis with ginger, bubbly beverages, and chili peppers. And olive oil? Yep, it's got it too. Interestingly, that burn is localized entirely in the back of the throat because that's where the oleocanthal receptors are located. And it turns out in the olive oil biz, folks talk about a 1 cough, 2 cough, or even a 3 cough olive oil. One of the big factors that determines the character of an extra virgin olive oil is how ripe the olives were at time of harvest. Generally speaking, less ripe olives produce more green flavors, like artichokes and grass, more burn and more bitterness. Riper olives will produce oils that are more mild and buttery. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that enjoying olive oil, even if you're not tasting it the way that I just did, is pretty easy. But buying the stuff, now that can be daunting. Store shelves are lined with so many different brands and different bottle shapes and sizes. They all come from different countries. The only thing they seem to have in common is they are expensive. Well, there's 2 good bits of news. The first is that Cook's Illustrated olive oil expert Lisa McManus has done extensive testing on both supermarket and special order olive oils. Her work has included independent lab testing and expert tasting panels. You can find links to her full reviews and recommendations right below this video. The other good bit of news, you have more power than you think when it comes to shopping. Let's head to the kitchen. I have a bunch of extra virgin olive oils here in front of me, and they all have one common enemy. Actually, 4. And those enemies go by the acronym HALT. HALT stands for heat, air, light, and time. As a cook, you have a lot of control over a few of these factors. First, let's look at heat. One of the reasons that extra virgin olive oil is so flavorful is that its exposure to heat is controlled carefully during the production process. Among other things, heat drives flavorful aromatic compounds out of the oil and into the air. To keep flavor in your oil, store it in a cool place. That means not too close to the stovetop and definitely not right above it. Next up is light. Ultraviolet light is high in energy, so when it hits delicate oil, it can break chemical bonds and cause oxidation. The easiest way to avoid light is to choose an olive oil in a dark, or better yet, opaque bottle, and then store it in a dark place. Finally, you can control time in a couple of ways. And the first is at the store. Pick up the bottle, find the best buy date, and then completely ignore it. We found those dates to be ridiculously optimistic, often listed as many years out. But the label does have a number that is really, really valuable, and that's the harvest date. You want that date to be as close as possible to the date that you are buying it. Most Northern Hemisphere oils are harvested between November and January, and then they're released in May. So you're gonna be looking for a date that's likely the year before. That means in the second quarter of 2019, you're gonna see a 2018 date. Got it? Okay, good. And the other element of time is entirely in your hands. Buy small bottles that you can use quickly and then use it. I probably don't need to tell you how to drizzle fruity, grassy, peppery, little bit bitter extra virgin olive oil on top of pasta, pizza, eggs, steaks, grilled vegetables. But one place where it's often overlooked is in sweet applications, such as ice cream. We can replace the cream with a combination of extra virgin olive oil and water and revel in how that peppery burn is balanced by refreshing cold. If you're feeling indulgent, you can also drizzle a little extra right on top. Or in cake. Olive oil, which is liquid at room temperature, will make a cake that is moister than one made with butter. Extra virgin olive oil adds subtle grassiness to this cake while keeping it super moist for days. Or match it with lemon in this lemon olive oil tart. Again, olive oil trumps butter, whose dairy proteins bind to the flavor compounds in lemon and mute them. Olive oil will let all of that bright lemon flavor shine. You know what? I've got the perfect combo. Slice of olive oil cake, scoop of olive oil ice cream. Yeah. This is definitely how to eat olive oil. Thanks for watching. Are you a 1, 2, or 3 cup olive oil kind of person? Let me know in the comments and hit that subscribe button. We'll see you next time.